Welcome, everyone. My name is Catherine Wang, and I am the co-chair of Uniting Women in Cyber. Thank you for joining us today. I'm very excited to be speaking with Edith Santos as today's guest. She has an extensive background in cyber forensics, in incident response, and executive leadership across law enforcement, financial services, and many others. Edith is currently the Chief Operating Officer at Apollo Cyber and a key contributor to Uniting Women in Cyber's Leadership Committee. Edith, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kat. I'm really excited. Appreciate it. Thanks for the invite.
Awesome. Well, we're expecting some very exciting feedback, especially from someone of your kind of leadership level within the cyber community. So let's kick off with a kind of open origin story question. So what would you say attracted you to cyber, and what is it that motivates you to stick with it?
Oh, what attracted me? I'm not sure that anything actually attracted me to it. I kind of fell into it. So I'm a little on the older side before cyber was cool or anybody even knew about it. In law enforcement, I worked cybercrime cases, investigation wise. There's Facebook, and I think there's a couple other um, fraud happening cyber-wise. So that's sort of where it started. In law enforcement, no one really wanted to work those cases. They were financial cases. They wanted to work all the homicide cases and robbery. So that was more fun and attractive. So I took it on and really enjoyed it. And it just evolved into more, evidence was always in computers, then cell phones. So I just kind of fell into that. So I stick with it because it's still using investigative techniques. Literally, it's now just all cyber. So it's like being a detective in the cyber world. So I haven't lost any of what I did before in law enforcement. It's just a different place from using the same skills.
Interesting.
So,
So is it fair to say that part of what initially drew you was the mission, the orient of the trajectory, the altruism of committing to the mission, but then cyber as being a unique kind of area that you wanted to explore more and contribute to?
absolutely. So it was different. It was more challenging, right? So now when you started working cases in cyber, it's just much more challenging. Now you worked murder, or back then you worked murder, so now they have a cell phone on them. So that was challenging as well. Then it was the technical, how can I tell where this person was at, right? So I was always learning new techniques. Still to this day, I'm still learning new stuff as cyber evolves, new technology, enters our worlds. It just continues. It's a nonstop learning environment. So I really enjoy that.
But it sounds like it can be a lot, though. What are your thoughts on kind of maintaining the compartmentalization, like psychologically? Like, how do you balance something like work life, for example?
Oh, it makes it really hard. I should do a better job at it. But it makes it really hard, especially hard when you work from home. It's very easy to just walk to the room or to your office and get back to working again. We have to separate it at some point. So you got to figure out somewhere in life to do that because it's not going to just affect yourself health wise and mentally, but others around you and your family as well. So, what I like to do is take walks in the morning. So, just about every morning for about an hour, I'm taking a walk with, my dog, listening to a book that is not cyber related. I try to listen to books that are not cyber related. Sometimes I fail, sometimes I find a good one, but so yeah, so that's what I tried, what helps me. And then sometimes, in the evenings, just separate from cyber for at least an hour. No LinkedIn, no this, and just have dinner without even looking at your phone. So it can be challenging, but it needs to be done because otherwise the burnout is real. It can
Yeah.
happen.
Agreed. Well, also, sometimes it sounds like the cases that you're working on are also very intense. Do you, I mean, to whatever extent you feel comfortable sharing this, do you have any quick stories that you think were particularly provocative or that really stuck with you in your career, your cyber investigation career that you could share with the audience?
Oh man, I'd have to really pull back and figure out. So let me think about that while we continue to go through. I mean, I worked murder cases with, people's, you know, cell phones, and we could quickly get a bunch of data off of that. And I mean, it was a quick guilty, you know. Oh, I remember one. So it was a murder case. It was a murder case. The man was murdered, had someone in his home. A suspicious person was the one in his home that he picked up for a night out at his home, sort of like an escort service. However, when they went to speak to her, she basically stated that, you know, they've known each other, but that day she did not want to continue with the business. They were going to be there for friends. He continued. She felt unsafe, and, you know, she went to defend herself. However, her cell phone showed that she murdered him and then started taking selfies in his blood in his room, covered in his blood, taking selfies in the mirror of the bedroom where she was at, where she just finished murdering him. So it's really hard to say that you're defending yourself if you stayed around taking pictures. So
I know this is a very, that's an incredible story. It's also a very unfortunate one, but I'm sorry for you.
yeah,
What is,
so yeah.
oh, wow.
It's hard to convince a jury, you know, that you're scared.
So then in that case, were you supporting from the prosecution side, or were you just
Correct.
hired in as a impartial third party just to uncover the cyber forensic evidence?
It's prosecution side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was the evidence was going to the lab basically.
Got it. Well, that's very cool. So, I mean, as technology evolves and you find new, more innovative ways to solve cybercrime, so to speak, like it sounds like there's a decent degree of creativity and ingenuity and just innovation that you kind of really need to keep core to yourself. How do you ensure that that is rewarded or encouraged in your team?
Ah, and there's creativity, right? You allow them to be creative. You allow them to bring ideas. You allow them to test. If they bring ideas, it's like, okay, let's test it. You know, let's test it. Let's see how this works. Test it some more. You know, what are the goods and the bads with this, right? So you have to allow your team to make mistakes as well. That's the only way they're going to learn. That's the only way I'm going to learn. So a lot of allowing them to bring an idea to you, helping them to, even though I may think the idea is not that great, just let them do it, right? And they may bring you a result. They're like, hey, that's pretty good. I didn't think it was going to be great, but I can see where this use case can be used in X, Y, and Z, right? Or let's, you know, it's allowing people to think out of the box and supporting them in that decision.
Actually, I really love that response, and I want to dig into that a little bit deeper. At Uniting Women in Cyber, one of our key charters is building the community, not just any community, but a community that has a stronger presence, representation from traditionally underrepresented demographics or workforces, right? We have a severe labor shortage, talent shortage when it comes to cybersecurity versus the number of jobs that are in demand right now. What is your perspective on embracing the concept of diversity of thought in addition to diversity of experience and demographics as it contributes to innovation and creativity?
Yeah, so people all come from all different walks of life. Some people have different experiences in life, and it's those experiences that you have gone through that allow you to be creative, innovative in different ways because this is the environment that they were raised in, right? Um, so different demographics, different backgrounds allow for that creativity. You know, I've been on the individual contributor in different teams, and you have a conversation in a group setting with someone who's from another country, and they say, "Hey, but this is the way we did because of this." I'm like, "Really?" You know, so it's just you start to realize things that you haven't experienced others do, and now this is a use case for them, and it can be one for you as well. You know, so that's where that creativity and innovation comes from, is being able to fix a problem that not just affects me, but can affect other people around the globe, right? So that I just don't know there's a problem because it's not my environment, you know? So a lot of that, you can use that same in the cyber world, right? And that's where that individuality, creativity, innovation comes in. And that's why you have to allow people from all demographics, to be a part of your team that can help you and teach you about other things that are going on in the world. It's just not my own bubble.
Right. So I think as we were wrapping up, kind of with one final question, your perspective on the value of different backgrounds and experiences and perspectives is kind of leading me to ask my final question, which is, it can be very daunting. It can be very intimidating for someone who traditionally is in a very wildly off center profession compared to cyber or any of the operational, less technical roles within cyber. Do you have any advice, or what advice did you get in your career that can help inspire them to realize that they have a lot of value and that this is worth pursuing?
Yes, it's a great question because I think, for example, in my experience, um, I've been doing cyber for a while now, especially the DFIR side of the house, and you start to get tunnel vision. You think everybody else knows these artifacts that exist, right? So to work this case, once you start allowing others that don't have that background come in, even when you talk to clients, like, how do you not know this? But then I realize it's because it's been my world for many, many years, right? So allowing other people to come in that don't have that same perspective that you do. Now I've got to teach this person something. That person starts to teach me and says, well, why don't we just do it this way? I don't know. Never thought about it. Not doing it that way. Like, that's a good idea. Let's try that and see if it works. Um, because I've been so streamlined in one specific way of doing things, the cyber way, as opposed to allowing that creativity to come in, that someone who has a different background, who has a different way of saying things can come in and just say, hey, this looks like it'd be easier. Can we just do this? Like, yeah, absolutely, right? That's the reason why we need those people who can help us almost automate things, just by bringing in that extra perspective. So definitely needed. We need to find more of them. And hopefully these people enjoy cyber as well to come and join us because we need more people in cyber.
Amen. This was wonderful. Thank you so much, Edith.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today, and have a wonderful time. Edith, thank you again for joining.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.